I love your mission, Tammy, to help people find more meaning in their work, because like you say, we spend so much time working, sometimes more time than we spend with our family and loved ones. We might as well enjoy it and do something that means something for us, that's meaningful.
That's what I think. And yet, at the same time, I'm not one of those coaches who says, find your passion, find your dream job. If you do, that's great. And just find something that gives you contentment or fulfills you, that feels good. I'm not suggesting that everybody has to save the world, but find something that does mean something to you. And becoming a coach, there's a lot of different avenues that you can take. There's all kinds of coaches, and coaches can do a lot of different things with that kind of a career. And you can build on something that you've already done and build that expertise into it. So there's a lot of flexibility. But I think that oftentimes people will tend to go towards something that they have strengths in, but they don't always blend that with something that they enjoy. And so sometimes they find themselves getting stuck in a career that they're very good at, but they don't necessarily like it. So I always say, sort of stop and take a pause and think about, if you find yourself having trouble getting up in the morning, or dreading Sunday nights, or dreading Monday mornings, even if you're really good at what you do, think about what would make it more enjoyable, or whether there's something else that you might like better. Chances are you'd be good at that as well.
As a career coach, obviously you've done this for 20 years, you've worked with so many people. What did you notice was the biggest obstacle your clients face when it comes to their careers and finding fulfillment through their work?
What seems to be the biggest obstacle is that people have a set of beliefs, or even one or two beliefs, about how things should be or should have progressed in their lives to a certain point. And when those expectations were not met, they fill their heads with self-criticism, self-doubt. They think that because of that, that if they were to make a change, that they would have to start all over again, or that they would have to take 2 steps backwards. Now, I'm not saying that that wouldn't be true in some cases, depending on the kinds of things that they might want to do. But I would also say that in most cases, you don't have to take 2 steps backwards or start all over again, because you get to bring all the skills, all the experiences you've already had with you, even if you use them in different ways or just have them as part of your background. But you don't throw everything away that you've ever done stepping into something new. You're really just stepping into something new and adding to what you want to do next. So I think that what happens is when people are making a change can be scary, even if it is exciting. But when people are afraid, they go to this kind of all or nothing thinking. And so it's either this way or that way, and there's no in between. And when there's no in between, they're not thinking very creatively. They're not thinking with a curious mindset. And when they're not thinking with curiosity, they miss all the possibilities that might be available to them. And that's where I see where I come in, is start to ask some of those open-ended, curious, or powerful questions, as we say in coaching. And that really helps to open somebody up to look at what's possible for them.
Absolutely. And you do that beautifully in your book. I'm honored to have been included.
Yes.
And here I have it in front of me. So in your book, Work from the Inside Out, you mention 9 such obstacles. You just described one. Give us some more examples about other obstacles that people face when it comes to essentially making changes in their career, whether they change jobs or they change careers altogether to find more meaningful work. What are some other obstacles that you can share with the audience?
So in the book, I name 9 obstacles, the primary one being that they're mostly based on, that fear kind of drives them. So one of them is One of the chapters is called It's Never Too Late. A lot of people will think that, oh, I'm too old, no one will ever hire me, or it's too late, I don't want to go back to school, or I can't afford it. And I share 3 stories of 3 people that I've known in my life, one of whom's a former client, who all changed careers pretty dramatically, actually, at ages 40 plus. One of them was in her early 40s. Another person was 58 when he changed careers. And all of them did it successfully and really, I'd say, pretty delightfully. Now, each of them had their own circumstances and their own journey, but the point being that those kinds of changes, they don't happen overnight. None of them did it overnight, and I think that's where the all or nothing thinking has to be dispelled. But I want to show the readers that it's possible. Another chapter in the book is, I have too many responsibilities. I have a family. I have children that I need to put through university, or maybe I have aging relatives that I'm taking care of, or I have other financial obligations. I couldn't afford to take a pay cut if I'm starting all over again. All these obstacles and stories that people tell themselves that they really believe these things are true. And so they create the whole story. They've got a crystal ball. They've predicted the future, what it would look like. And so they've talked themselves out of it before they've even looked into it and gotten more information to decide what might be possible. And what I love about the stories in the book is all the stories in the book show very real stories of people who've actually stepped into those situations and made these things happen. So in that chapter, I tell 2 different stories. One is of a young family, and they had a dream of opening a bread bakery. It took them 7 years, but they did it. Another scenario in that chapter is of a single parent who decided she wanted to move somewhere else and open up a coffee shop after being an investigative journalist. So there are lots of ways people make these things happen. I'm not suggesting that people would necessarily go about their job change or their career change in the same way that the people did in the book. But I think that at least when you can see what's possible, it gives you at least a framework for seeing how someone else went about it. And maybe that would give you at least a spark or a starting point for thinking about what might be possible for you. Another chapter in the book is careers are not formed in a straight line. And in that chapter, I tell stories about people who, started off in one place and went in a few different directions, which many of us have done, as you have, right? And I love, love, love your story because you really do show a lot of the key ideas about how somebody can go about making decisions. And yet, no one's saying it's easy. You didn't say it was easy, but I love the way your story unfolds because it really does illustrate for someone how you might think things through, ask yourself some good questions, but then step into the unknown a little bit here and there and say, well, I don't know how this is going to turn out, but I'm going to give this a try. And yet doing it with your eyes wide open, knowing that you either have certain things in place so that you have a backup plan. That's the thing. I think some people think that when they're going to make a change, that they're going to do it without any safety net in place. And I would say, don't do that. Don't do it that way. That's why I say I'm not telling people to go out and get a dream job and just drop everything. I'm saying make a good plan. Every person that I profile in the book had made plans. And when they did take a leap of faith, they did it with a backup plan. They also did it knowing it might not work out the way they wanted it to. In fact, most things, even when they do work out in a good way, it's not exactly the way they planned on it working out.